This is my childhood experience. When I was a small child, I lived with my older sister by 2 years, my older brother by 3, and my 2 parents. It was a normal enough family for the early 1970s. My dad sold gigantic valves for a decent enough living that we had moved into our first new house just a few years earlier in a suburb of Portland, Oregon. My mom worked part-time sometimes, but not regularly. The time I'm telling you all about happened in the very early 1970s, when I was about 6 to 8 years old. It was during a hot stretch of summer. I remember this because my siblings and I would sometimes sleep in the basement on hot summer nights because it was much cooler than our second-story bedrooms would have been on a night like that. Our basement was all finished with paneling and carpeting, so it was far from creepy. Everything was finished but the bathroom at this point. If it had been finished, the story would have never been told. It was early in the morning, probably 5 or 6 a.m. because the sun wasn't up yet, but it was bright enough to see without turning on any lights, and I needed to pee. So I crawled out of my sleeping bag and headed up the stairs to the main level of the house. At the top of the stairs was a door, and beyond that to the left was the kitchen, and to the right was the living room, and another flight of stairs leading up to the bedrooms, and most importantly the bathroom, where I quickly went. After doing my business, I went down the first flight of stairs, and before I could open the basement door to descend the second, I noticed something just inside the kitchen in the entryway, so I turned to look. What I saw there scared me like only nightmares could have done previously. It was a boy I'd never seen before, about my brother's age. He was completely naked except for a pair of white cotton briefs. Knowing he wasn't my brother, I guess I was just hoping it was because I didn't know who it was. Frozen in place with fear, my voice creaked out with my brother's name in barely more than a whisper. A long moment later, without responding, the boy, who looked as real as any boy I'd ever seen, slowly vanished from my sight. That broke my paralysis, and I ran down the stairs, jumped into my sleeping bag as deep as I could get, and pulled it over my head and stayed that way until the rest of the house was awake. Unfortunately, this would not be the last time I'd see something like this, but thankfully, I'd be in my 20s before I saw another unperson. I haven't seen one for 7 to 9 years now, but used to see them once every few years. Always real looking, never the same twice, always at night in my bedroom, somewhere watching me sleep. Some say ghosts, but there are virtually no other signs except for a couple of years at one strange place, and that is a topic for another story. One other place I lived at, they showed up every couple of weeks, so often I began sleeping with the lights on, but only there. Some say hallucinations, but they seem so real. Some say visions of some sort, but they don't communicate. They just stand emotionless at the far side of the room watching me sleep. I'm thinking they are gone for good now, but who knows? I have sleep paralysis a couple of times a week sometimes, so this every few years is nothing. That's my story, and every word of it is true, to the best of my recollection anyway. Hope it makes you think maybe there might be more out there than meets the eye. And as always, may peace infest your lives.